What's the deal with insurance in Northwest Florida? Hey, everybody, I'm Nate Carver, your favorite mortgage guy. On this episode of Between Two Doors, we are talking to Jennifer Blackburn. She is an insurance agent with Trucordia out of Niceville, Florida, formerly Niceville Insurance Company. They've had a name change.
Hey, I'm Nate Carver, and welcome to Between Two Doors.
Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. We had our little winter, and
Yeah,
it's over.
I am so happy that it is starting to warm up. I was freezing.
Yeah, me too. And I'm not good for winter. I wasn't made for it. Um, so tell us a little bit about you. When did you get into insurance, and how did you come about that?
I got into insurance in 2020. Um, I just got into it by chance, honestly. We moved back into the area of the Panhandle. We lived in the Keys for 15 years. And we moved back here is where my husband's family is from. And it was actually where I was first stationed back in the day. I was in the Air Force. Um, and a job came here at Niceville Insurance, and I took it, and here I am.
Well, I'll tell everybody, you're my go-to for insurance in Northwest Florida.
Thanks.
It's not always about, it's about the policy and the quality of the
Yeah,
policy and the cost of it. There's a lot of factors, and you have
yeah,
been doing, for the years I've known you, you've been
yeah.
doing fantastic. So full disclosure, when I write a loan in Florida, that's is who I send it to, and we're gonna find out why.
I
So
truly appreciate it.
yeah, well, Key West to North
Yeah,
Florida, a little different, and
a little different.
I love Key West. I've been there. I sailed there one year, quite by accident. Wasn't our destination, but that's where we ended up.
Oh, that's
Ended up
cool.
staying there for a solid week. Um, Super cheap when you bring your own hotel, the
Yeah,
boat.
yeah.
And gosh, it was awesome. The weather was fantastic. It was great. It was
Oh,
great.
yeah. It's a
I
little like
highly
we
recommend.
were there for so long, and I always tell people it's kind of like Groundhog Day because it's the same every day. Like the weather's always
Yeah,
kind of the same, and it's so small when you're living there, as a
everybody owns a
local.
go-kart. Go-kart.
You
Everybody
know
owns
what?
a golf cart or a Vespa.
Yeah, we didn't have a golf cart, but we lived, I would say 25, 30 miles from Key West. So
Oh, okay.
we had to make the drive. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you ever make
it
it
was
over
fun.
to Dry Tortuga?
Yes. Yeah,
That
a few
isn't that
times. We used to go
amazing?
there on school trips with my kids.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got a
it's
seaplane that
beautiful.
goes out there.
Yeah.
We stayed. Fun fact. So that's if you're a history buff, that's where
Yeah.
Roger Mudd, Dr.
I don't
Mudd,
remember. Yeah.
uh, connected to the Lincoln assassination. He treated
Yeah.
Booth, John Wilkes Booth.
Hmm.
So they tried him,
Yeah.
and that's where they sentenced him
Yeah.
was to the Dry Tortugas prison. And when I sailed there, we spent the night. I went over and was playing on the beach. Well, a storm kicked up, a big storm, and there was no way I could get the dinghy back out to the sailboat, nor did I want to. The people on the boats were in that little cove were going all over the place.
Yeah.
And so I ended up staying in the
Oh, in the
fort
fort.
in his jail cell because it was the only one that was really shielded from the wind.
That's spooky.
Yeah, I didn't sleep. I was afraid I'd die of hypothermia. I just was. All I had was a swimsuit, and I've been swimming all day, and so of course it's raining sideways, and so I sat there and I looked out the window, and I could see the light on the mast of all the boats out in that little bay, in that little harbor, moving
Wow.
all over the place because of the storm. I was no better off than they were, but I got to sleep in Dr. Mudd's prison cell. sort of
Yeah.
sleep. I sat there. I just sat there all night. I was so exhausted.
Not sleeping.
Not
Well,
sleeping. And the next day the sun came up. It was gorgeous. As you know, it was beautiful. And anyway, that's my connection to Abraham Lincoln. And
that's pretty cool. I've
no,
had
so
some friends that have stayed out there because they're, park rangers and stuff, and they
yeah,
said it can be pretty spooky.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I was like, 'cause you can see down. So there's a great big octagon. If anybody didn't know, it's this huge red brick octagon, and you
Yeah,
can look down the hallways in either direction, and it just goes on. It's massive.
it is.
And it's empty, and it's haunted, and
Very.
yeah. So okay,
Okay.
that's my cool story.
Well,
Um,
that's pretty cool.
yeah. So tell me, what is the thing you love most about what you do in the insurance world?
I think it's just like looking at properties and trying to find the right fit and make sure people have the best coverage and that they know what they're getting into. Just being in South Florida and North Florida
Hmm.
and a little bit of time in the middle of Florida, I feel like I know kind of the state in general. So um, it really, I enjoy looking at different properties and trying to figure out, how to best get them covered and even to cover them because sometimes in Florida it's not so easy to
Yeah.
get coverage.
Now, do you just write in the state of Florida, or do you go
We
further out?
have I have licenses and actually in Texas. I've never really written over there, but we are trying to branch out. We've applied for Alabama and Georgia. I think I already have Texas and Louisiana, but I haven't. We've done a little bit of Alabama, just like coastal and kind of closer to here, but I haven't branched out. I have licenses in the other states, but I haven't actually done them too much yet.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna stick to Florida.
Yeah,
Um,
Florida's my specialty right now.
yeah. So what? First time home buyers.
Hmm.
I love working with them. Done a bunch of them too, and some of the core questions that they don't necessarily know or wouldn't know that they got their own lives to run. Um, at what point in the home buying process should buyers talk to an insurance agent? Like I get
I
a
think,
contract, I set up the loan.
yeah,
How about from there,
right in the beginning,
right in the
because you
beginning?
kind of want to know your estimates, because depending on the home price range, especially with your mortgage, with your lenders, you kind of want to know where you're going to be payment wise, if that's what you're, kind of worried about. And a lot of
Hmm.
people, especially first time home buyers, I feel like are worried about, how much the mortgage is going to be. So right in the beginning, when you find a house, it takes nothing for them to call or find an insurance agent and just get an estimate. Um, I think that's really important because sometimes you would think you look at a small house, think that's not going to be very much, but depending on the age of the home, things that haven't been updated in the home, it can end up being quite pricey. So it's really good to kind of get out there in the very beginning and try to get an estimate on it, at least, just a quick estimate.
So what can they expect that would be covered in that homeowner's policy?
So your traditional homeowners policy is going to be your dwelling, your coverage A, your other structures, your contents, and your loss of use. Those are kind of your big main four. And then from there, you can add on separate coverages depending on what you need for the house. But those are the big four. The biggest one especially with your lenders are replacement cost on your dwelling
Right.
coverage. So that has been a big one these days because I feel like with Florida, they try to do like a depreciated costs on your roof and stuff depending on age. And I know lenders are kind of a no with that. So you just really need to really know what you're getting into when it comes to your coverage, especially your dwelling.
Hmm.
Contents is a little bit more malleable because that's kind of what you think you own. Like it's your anything you can unplug and kind of shake out of your house. So, you have a little more say in what that number is. But yeah, those are like the biggest things
Is
that they look
that
for in your
is
homeowner.
the contents is that required to be insured?
With primary home insurance, like occupied, like owner occupied homes, a lot of standard home insurance requires 25% of contents coverage
Okay.
based off your off your coverage, off your dwelling coverage. So a lot of them do have that fixture at the 25%. there are certain companies that sometimes will go lower.
Mhm.
And we're starting to see a little more and more. So it's good to ask if you want to go lower than that.
Yeah, and
If you're doing it as a rental though, you can put it down to zero.
there you go. And I was going
Yeah.
to say sometimes the debt to income ratio is just razor thin.
Yeah.
And you got two options. Either, we look at buying less house, putting more down, or we're looking at our insurance. It's got to
Yeah.
cover, but maybe we don't have to cover 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
If
just
you're
ways
not
to.
if content, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're
if
good.
contents isn't like your priority, like if you're really just price driven, you could
Yeah.
talk to the agent about taking the replacement cost of contents off if it's a an owner occupied home, because that is
Mhm.
a significant endorsement, because it guarantees that if you lost your contents, they're going to give you the exact amount it costs to buy it right then. If you take
Yeah.
that endorsement off to where they're giving you the depreciated cost of the TV, of the couch, that's a pretty significant endorsement. So it can cut down a brunt of it also.
Good. That's it. That's good. What's not covered?
Like, what are you saying? What's not covered? Like your land is not covered. I think a lot of people are
Okay.
surprised by that sometimes. It's only structure. So
Only the structure.
yeah, so like most of the time, your plants and stuff aren't covered. Trees aren't covered unless it falls on your house.
Uh, that's
Um,
that's good to know. I mean,
yeah,
but
unless it destroys property. And then
pine trees
another,
in North Texas are huge, or
yeah,
North Texas, North Florida are huge. They are
they are.
huge, and so
Yeah,
I'm gonna go wrong. And
yeah.
so if you lose one, that's not on the insurance. That's not covered. But
Mm-mm.
if it falls
Unless
on
it
your house,
damages property,
then you got a different story.
and
Okay.
then you got a different story. And then I think another big surprise I think people are shocked about is pests. So like here in North Florida, the squirrels, if they get into your house, into the walls and stuff, a lot of people call their insurance for damages on that, and
Yeah.
pests are not covered by home insurance.
So squirrels, this craziest thing, squirrels in Northwest Florida love lead.
Yeah,
And they eat the lead facets on the top on your roof. The flukes,
yeah,
if they're made out of lead, they will
that's how they
eat
get
that.
in. Yeah.
Is that a thing that's covered if it's part of the roof?
No, if it's pests, if
Pest
pests get
related.
in, pest related, it is not covered in your home insurance.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah,
I couldn't believe it. They eat it. I don't know
yeah.
how we have any squirrels left. I mean,
That's why you see so many people trying to get rid of them, or
they
trying to
just
find ways to get them away from their
trying to
house, and
thin them out. Or,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long a squirrel lives after eating a pound of lead. I don't know.
I don't know. I think the ones around here are superhuman. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, Specific to Northwest Florida, are there things that you're seeing that are different versus the rest of Florida, or if someone's looking for insurance, maybe they're considering insurance as part of their overall cost for housing, maybe is there are there zones or areas that they should really try to avoid as far as, or are you seeing where prices go up considerably?
well, I think anything on the coast is definitely going to be a little higher because we don't
Yeah,
have the market on it is smaller. So there's a lot of companies, especially admitted companies, standard Florida companies that don't have a lot of coastal areas blocked off. So you're limited to the amount of quotes you're going to get back or amount of rates, and they're typically a little higher. So if you're looking for something a little less, something not as close to the water usually helps. The newer the house, the better the premium. I mean, I think people have already starting to see that. The older the house, it really a lot of times does not matter.
yeah.
Because they're just going to rate high regardless. So an old house by the water is probably your worst bet, price
Oh,
wise.
okay. How about, is there anything like, I always have thought Interstate 10, anything
Mhm.
north of Interstate 10 tends to be
Very less
cheaper,
expensive.
very
Yes.
less expensive. South of that, and of course, closer, anything
Yeah.
south of Interstate 10, you're getting closer and closer to
Oh
the
yeah.
Gulf of America
Yeah. The
and the bays.
closer the closer you get to that water, prices go up a little bit. And that's,
Yeah,
all around. That's cost
that's
of
all,
house.
yeah, all around. Yeah.
All around.
Even matters what side of the street.
Oh, I
So,
know. I know.
yeah, yeah. Tell us,
Flood rates. Woo.
let's say, let's talk about wind and hurricanes. Got a few named storms out there, in the past. What
Mhm.
buyers really need to know about those?
So your biggest thing is your deductibles, your hurricane deductibles. If you're with an admitted carrier or one of the standard Florida carriers, you typically have a separate wind and hurricane deductible. Your wind deductible is typically the same as your all other peril, which default average in Florida is usually around 2,500. And then your hurricane deductible is about 2% of your coverage A. If there is a named storm anywhere around Florida, tropical hurricane, everything will be tied to that named storm. So it will automatically go into that hurricane deductible most of the time.
Hmm.
Anywhere, if that storm is anywhere around Florida, we
Is
replace
there
that. So
is there a limit on the, let's say on the calendar, if there's a named storm that insurance companies will wait? Is there anything like that where they won't fund a new insurance policy, or they'll wait till
oh
after
yeah,
the storm?
they'll put a close on all policies, on all
Yeah.
bindings. Once a storm is in the Gulf, you can pretty much shut all of Florida down.
Yeah, same with the lending
They'll just stop
side.
it. Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's
depending
just
on where we're at in the lending process, once it's named, we're stuck.
yeah. Well, you
But we'll
can't
have
get too
to,
far
yeah,
without the insurance and then the lending. You're just like,
break out your chainsaws and go help your neighbor out,
exactly.
and yourself.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, and then we're left with, we've got to get a confirmation that the house is still there, new appraisal.
Oh yeah.
So there's, it's kind of a reset on the whole
Hmm.
process, but everybody's reset. So it really, there's a
Yeah.
plan. We'll work through it. We have.
Yeah.
So, um,
We've all been there.
yeah, yeah. Like, go some other direction. We've had plenty. So, um, so whenever I, I'll see buyers, they'll come in, they'll look at a house, they'll find out the roof is, maybe it's got 10 years left on it. Um, there's significant savings to putting a new roof on there.
There is. Depending, well, the more updated the roof is, you usually have more of the credits are that are required to get to get the lesser premium. So it's better to have an updated roof. But a lot of companies, even though they're trying to get away from making it a 15-year roof, they still require it. And
Hmm.
um, so if you have anything over 15 years, the same thing, you're not going to get as many quotes back. You're not going to get as many rates back. So if you're within the 15-year mark, though, you probably are okay. It's just
Yeah.
depending on the company you go with, once you hit that 15 mark, a lot of them expect you to get a new roof. So it's just the cost that you're going to have after the fact. But definitely the more updated the house is, the better you are going to get in credits all the way around.
And with that, you have a special little clip called, what is a hurricane clip, right? Is
Yep.
that the official, is that really the
That's the
name of
hurricane
it?
clip.
That's
Yep.
it's hurricane clip. And it's a little, it goes on the joints in the joist in the roof framing,
Yeah.
right? And so is that, I know that has made or broke some deals,
Hmm.
and people run and go get that stuff done. It is super easy to do when you're putting a new roof on, to
Oh
go ahead
yeah.
and put those in.
Oh
Not
yeah.
so easy to do, I guess,
Once
whenever,
it's done,
yeah,
going in after the fact still costs you a few $1,000s, and it's just an issue. But you definitely want to, when you're looking at your homes with the roofs, because all the time you're going to want to get a wind mitigation and the 4-point inspection when you're buying a house in Florida, especially if it's an older home. Always
yeah.
the 4-point. The newer homes, you don't need the 4-point as much. It's just nice to know what all is in the house, just so you don't get any surprises in the other way. But the wind mitigation, you're going to want to look for those hurricane clips. That is a big credit. The longer nails,
Hmm.
and the pattern that it's in, there is a larger credit for that too. Secondary water resistance has been getting a little bit more of a credit than it has in the past, but it's still not as big as the other two. The Florida Building Code credit, as long as it's over a 2,000 3 roof, you're going to get that. So that's a
Yeah.
large one also. And then of course, hurricane protection, which the only time you're going to get that hurricane protection credit is if every opening in your house is hurricane rated. So not too many people have that one as much as the other ones.
Is there the wind mitigation or the 4-point inspection? Our home that's been here in implemented in Florida for a while. Are you finding homes that are like a large percentage of homes that aren't protected or don't have that upgrade? Or I'm curious, is at some point you would think surely all new homes being built
Oh
are built
yeah.
to code.
Oh yeah. If it's a brand new home, you don't need any inspections because they're getting all the county code credits. They're getting
Yeah,
everything because everything in this area now is code wise having to have opening protection, all of the roof, everything. So it gets it automatically. It's usually your older homes. And you'd be surprised. People are still getting roofs put on and just don't know to look for, ask for the hurricane clips and the longer nails. And they're still keeping the smaller nails and not paying, and they're keeping the toenails, which is what's outside of the hurricane clip. That's not as good of a credit. And it's just not knowing that
yeah.
they should put it on there. Um, and so, yeah, you're still getting new roofs that don't have the credits.
And what if it doesn't? If it doesn't have the hurricane clips, the wind
If
form,
it doesn't, then it's going to get rated without it. And it's usually a pretty big
it's
jump.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the cost to do it. I've seen the interest rate or the interest rate. I've seen the insurance policies. The the cost of not doing it is significant,
Mm-hmm.
but the cost to go in and do the
Half of,
hurricane clips, I was like, this will pay for itself in 4 months,
yeah,
4 to 6 months,
it
and
will.
in the difference in your insurance premium. And they were like,
Yeah.
it was a no-brainer. It was like, do
Yeah.
this, we get this done. And I was like, in that case, in that specific case, they were replacing the roof anyway, and they're like, should we
Mm-hmm.
do this? The seller didn't want to do it, but the buyer definitely wanted to do it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't tell you what you can do on that one, but I know what I would do.
If you're buying a new house and they're getting that roof replaced, I would make sure that that's
Yeah,
all getting done.
yeah. It was incredibly.
Because,
It was inexpensive to do that compared
yeah,
to
it is
had they
way
not
easier to
done.
add it on to the replacement of a roof than it is to go back after the fact and do it or not have it at all.
Yeah. All right. So how about post being a brand new home buyer, how often should a homeowner revisit their insurance policy?
I'd like to tell my customers to look at it every year. And
Every
only
year?
only because we've seen in the past, not right now, everything's kind of steady and stable and plateauing. So the increases haven't been too crazy if you're in something. But we've seen in the last few years that it can be different and it'll just
Hmm.
jump up and go crazy and companies leave. So I really have everybody review every year just so you know what your prices are. Because a lot of times, especially customers that have their homes escrowed, because a lot of us don't look at it. You don't look at your renewals. And if they have their homes escrowed, they're not finding out that their insurance rates went up until 6 months into the new policy because that's when the escrow is actually being reviewed and caught up. And so
Yeah.
as now you're getting a little bit of increase from back pay and a little bit of increase as a projection of what your next one is. So if you have an eye on it every year, you really know what you're getting into, price wise, how much it's gone up, how much to expect it on, the lender side or the mortgage side to go up. And you're not, halfway in the middle of a year going, oh my goodness, I want to change my insurance and having to do
Right.
the whole refund and all that stuff. So I really encourage people to review it every year if they can.
All right. Any life changes or home changes that might trigger the homeowner at that point to reach out to you?
Definitely any upgrades. If you're putting a pool in or if you're resurfacing your home, like if you're going from like a wood siding to a hardy plank siding, hardy plank siding is a much better product and you get a little bit of credits for that. So anytime you do an update to the home, even if you don't know if you get credits for it or whatnot, it's always good to reach out to your agent just to, having a pool, you want to make sure you're covered for that pool. Because,
Yeah.
a lot of times with a lot of companies nowadays, they don't really go up in coverage A unless the customer reaches out and says, I want to increase it. So,
Hmm.
I think a lot of people are probably undercovered that have been in a policy sitting for a long time. So it's always good for any kind of update or upgrade to kind of reach out.
Okay. Roof age. I think we talked a little bit about that. You said about
Mhm.
15 years.
About 15 years. For
Okay.
metal, you can go about 30. They've gone out a little bit farther on that one, so that's nice. I find that concrete tile is probably the hardest. They're not looked at as long as metal. They're about 25 years. They're still kind of hard on them. Which is hard for all of Florida because especially South Florida and parts of North Florida, they really like the concrete tile roofs.
Yeah.
And you would think they'd have a more longevity, but metal seems to be the one that kind of goes out a little farther right now.
Do you know if there's a roof type that has like, I don't know, the one and done, never have to mess with
No,
it ever again?
no.
Yeah. I saw one. I saw.
Reinforced concrete probably doesn't get messed with the most, but that's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I saw. I never know. I love the idea of having a tin roof, but I saw somebody was advertising a 50-year roof made out of tires, recycled tires. I
oh,
don't know.
yeah, I've
I
never
haven't run
ran into
across that yet.
that. Well, I
How
think
do you feel on the?
everything has a guarantee. That's what a lot of customers come, well, I got a 30-year guarantee on this shingle. I'm like, well, I understand that, on the shingle
Yeah,
itself, but when it comes to, weather and stuff in Florida, the insurance doesn't really
yeah.
look at that that
The great big
shingle
ball of
guarantee.
fire up there in the sky
Yeah.
tends to. It
Tends to
has
wear
a
it down a
say.
little bit.
Yeah, yeah. It has a say in all of that. Are you seeing anybody underinsured? Is that pretty common or?
Yeah, and I kind of touched on it a little bit. I feel like when you've
Yeah,
been in a policy for a long time, and if you don't review your insurance, and the cost of stuff has obviously gone up quite a bit the last 2 or 3 years. So the cost to build a house is not the same as it was a couple of years ago. And if
yeah,
you don't actively call out and try to get your insurance increased, a lot of times it's not where it quite needs to be. If you've been sitting with it for a while, your brand new
yeah.
homes that we're now insuring, yeah, they're getting more of the today's prices when it comes to quotes and rates. But yeah, if you've been sitting in one for a while, you definitely want to reach out and just make sure.
Okay. Let's talk about biggest myths or mistakes that you see buyers making when they're buying a home, they're looking at insurance. What are you seeing that you're like, oh, I wouldn't do that, you know?
I think the biggest pet peeve for me is really quotes. So, like, if you go out and get an insurance quote, especially from, kind of a broker type of agency like us, we're all writing with the same people. So, if you're getting quotes from someone else and you got one of our quotes, they're going to be exactly the same. A lot of times, you really got to look at your coverages, amounts, and what's been added endorsement wise. And so if
Hmm.
you're getting something that's drastically different, it's really nice if you get with the agent that you were originally working with or whoever you got an estimate from and really go through and find out why. So you know what you're getting into. Because a lot of people, if they're coming in significantly lower than what someone else is giving you, it's because something was taken off that you
Yeah.
might have needed or wanted and not, been told
Yeah.
otherwise. So I would think that's the biggest thing when you're buying a home is when you go out and get rates is just to really look at, your different quotes and what you're covered by. Because we all kind of write with the same, the Florida standard carriers are the same all the way around. So um,
Yeah.
that's kind of our biggest pet peeve on this side. Other surprises with buying a home in Florida. I mean, I think they think, when it comes to your Florida premiums, that it's the home insurance. It's really just the wind coverage. The wind coverage is the brunt of your premium. So, like
Yeah.
your typical home insurance policy is probably similar to what you get in other states. That cost, very,
Yeah.
very low. But once you add that wind coverage, that's your brunt. So the higher you put that deductible on that wind, usually the lower you can bring it down.
Yeah. And lenders will work with borrowers on how much, you know, the, the premium. So maybe you have a higher deductible.
Mhm.
The lender will want to see cash reserves because you might have a $50,000 deductible. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't have $50,000 in the bank
Yeah.
somewhere,
They're
it's
gonna
not
want
going
to
to
see
work.
something. Yeah.
And the lender's not going to want you to get set up to be set up for failure. Really,
Yeah.
I don't as a loan officer. I want to make sure we got a great product that fits your budget, and that's why working with you is on the insurance piece.
Hmm.
That's just one of you're part of the team.
Yeah.
Team home ownership.
Team
Yeah.
ownership.
That's,
Well, I tell everybody when we have customers that call in wanting to raise everything, I'm always like, well, you need to clear, if you have a lender, you need to clear that with your lender before we make any changes because
yeah.
they'll come back and find you.
Yeah. They want to make sure you're well protected. So,
Yeah, exactly.
the biggest myth about Florida insurance?
I don't really know of any myths. I mean, it's high. I mean, I think that's the biggest one everyone thinks when they come in here is that Florida insurance is super high, and it is. It's the
Yeah.
highest in the nation when it comes to home, auto, pretty much all of it. So, trying to think of something myth-wise. What have you heard? Have you heard anything
Um, what
other
am I
than wind
thinking of?
premiums?
We'll get into flood zones.
Oh, yeah, flood zones. Oh,
Um,
the flood zone's not a myth, but the one thing that is kind of thought about with flood is usually the higher you're like I'm on high ground, so that flood shouldn't be as expensive as it is. And in the past, that made a big difference.
yeah.
Um, the FEMA has changed their flood rating for the first time in like 30 to 40 years, a couple of years
Yeah.
ago, and so now distance to water is actually a very large contender on that.
Yeah, that's
So
the one. I've seen builders, they're like, oh, we're building it on a berm or we've built up the
yeah,
lot.
it doesn't matter
It
anymore.
doesn't, yeah, that has changed. And so
Yeah,
that doesn't really
the
factor
distance to
into it.
coast has become a larger factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's the one I know of. One thing you wish every homeowner understood about uh, buying a home for storm season.
I think the biggest thing is just keeping your home cleared up. So your trees, we have a lot of people that start, making sure you're looking at your trees and which way they could fall, and
Yeah.
maybe, I don't want to say cut down your trees, but making sure it's all trimmed up and not so close to your home, keeping, debris out of the yards when a storm comes. Just making sure you have shutters. If you don't, if you don't have that impact rating, you want shutters in front of your doors, windows, just for things that fly. Just being prepared for stuff like that when it comes to your home and securing
Hmm.
it up before you leave. Because a lot of times, if the storm's big enough, we all take off. But just, paying attention to what you have around your house when it comes to storm season, just because anything becomes a missile at that point.
Yeah. You were talking about trees earlier. Your
Mhm.
city, the county, and your electric company or co-op will come and clear power lines
Mhm. Oh,
um,
yeah.
before the storm, which
Yep.
that way, you don't have a limb that falls over and wipes out your
Oh,
power
yeah,
and
they're
everybody
great.
else's
They're great
power.
about picking up debris before, after. I mean, there's always
Yeah.
everyone's trying to work with you, I feel like, in these places where you get hit by hurricanes. So it's not that, you don't have it accessible to you. It's just getting out there and making sure it's all done.
All right. Some closing questions, rapid fire, if you will. One tip for a first-time home buyer.
Um, one tip for a first-time home buyer. I would just say make sure you look into estimates for home insurance. I think that becomes the biggest surprise that people don't think about when it comes to buying a house is you don't think about the price of your home insurance. And here in Florida, that's kind of one thing, especially in Florida, you need to kind of pay attention to because it's
Hmm.
a little different of a market than it is in other states.
All right. And one tip for a seasoned homeowner.
Keeping up with your renewals, making sure your house is updated, keeping up and watching your prices every year. So, you're not so surprised when things come to fruition, and also making sure your home is covered.
There you go. What's something you wish any of them would ask you when they're looking for insurance? What's that thing you're like, oh, they didn't ask?
That's a good question.
I come
Let me
up with them from
think.
time to time.
think of what it is that I wish people would ask. I would say, maybe more of your endorsements, like what you could have that protects you outside of just the dwelling and contents. There
Hmm.
are a lot of things you can add to your home when it comes to, and it's things I may not know because it may not be updated somewhere
Yeah.
online, is like screened enclosures, um, carports, pools, um, just little
Bundling.
add-ons, home systems protection. There's a lot of little
Yeah.
things we need to make sure that, is on your policy that we may not know is on your policy unless you give us the information because it might have just been built or
Yeah.
new to the home that you're purchasing also. Just little things that are out there that are outside of your actual dwelling and contents that you might want to need more information on or, you know, other coverage.
Okay. Last one. Last rapid fire. Best way to prepare for a hurricane.
Well, I think we were over there a little bit, but it was just
Yeah.
make sure you're all picked up. Take all the debris out of the yard, clean up your trees, and board up those windows
And leave.
and leave. Yes, yeah, true. And if it's a
Go
strong enough
away.
storm, us Florida people, we're
Oh, I
diehards.
know. I know. I'm like, and I'm
We're
guilty
like,
of it
we're not
too.
leaving. We're not leaving if it's not a 3 or above.
That's true. And I stuck around for the lap Michael. That was a while back, but
Yeah.
I
Oh
was like, I'm
yeah.
gonna, yeah. And on one side of that storm, it was perfect. On the other side of that storm, it was a disaster.
Oh, and it could have went either way right there at the last
Yeah,
second. So
it sure
yeah,
could, and it often does. And
yeah, we lived in the Keys for Irma, same thing. Like,
yeah,
like you just didn't know until, but we left.
yeah. Well, now I don't. That was the last one. After that, I leave. I just leave. And it's
Hmm.
not the storm; it's the aftermath.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
Depending on, if you get a hurricane in September, October, one, it's rare. But if you did, the weather's
yeah,
kind of great. You can leave windows over, open. It's not so bad. Still have no power,
yeah,
have no water, probably
yeah.
have no grocery stores.
And it's like
If it,
months.
huh?
It's like months like that, not
If
just,
it,
a
yeah.
week.
So how long do you want to go without? And I'm like, not at all. I just go
Not at
somewhere
all.
else and skip all that, right? So I
Yeah.
found my life to be a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think people think sometimes they can just leave after the storm and you can't. Sometimes those roads
No,
are shot. You're
those roads
just
are
stuck.
shot. The
Yeah, you're
same
stuck.
trees that, you didn't
Yeah.
trim are in the road.
Yeah.
And so,
Exactly.
and they're huge. I'm telling you, if
Yeah.
you're thinking about moving to Florida, the trees are massive.
They are massive. Well, after
You know,
Michael, all the trees, because we have a little, I call it a beach shack in St. Joe Beach, and
yeah,
just the trees all the way down there from Tyndall on, they're just
yeah,
cut and sliced in half
all the way up to
right
Interstate
now.
10.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was amazing what it did.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, there you go. That's my opinion. You should leave, but it's the
Well,
aftermath.
it's a good one. It's the safest one because if nothing happens, everything's good. You just drive right back and get back to your house
Yeah,
and
I mean,
good to
I've been
go.
there when it's been a bad storm and no power for a week, and it's hot. It's miserable. It's
Oh, that's it.
miserable.
Now that we're talking about storms, that's another coverage I think people don't think about is
Yeah,
mold.
mold.
The mold and fungi. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not. It's an added endorsement too, but typically it's about 10,000, like kind of per occurrence, and you can go up to 25, 50. But I have noticed, like down in South Florida, when we couldn't come back, a lot of the houses got pretty much totaled because of mold,
wow. Yeah,
because
that
it
would
got,
do it.
nobody could come back, and it got, had some openings and the moisture. So make sure you have some mold coverage on there just in case.
Wow. Oh, that's great advice. All right. So, how can someone connect with you if they've got questions and
You
want to follow up with you?
more than welcome to give me an email. It's jennifer.blackburn@trucordia.com. And then my phone number is 850-279-6892. I probably said that really fast. But give me a shout. I'm here.
Perfect. And I'll put the links down below wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. Jennifer, thank you. You helped me.
Thank you.
I've wrapped my brain around all of this, and I'm not an insurance expert, but I know some. and so I get to
Well,
have you on the
anytime I could
podcast.
help.
Yeah, this was fantastic. If there's any changes in the insurance world that you think is noteworthy, let's hop on. We'll do
Sounds
a quick
great.
Q&A on it and talk about it and
I'll
put
do
that
it.
out there. And that's going to run it for this episode of Between Two Doors. Jennifer, thank you. And as
Thank
always,
you.
if you're looking to buy or sell or refinance, my link's down below too. I am a mortgage lender and would love to help navigate that and build you a clear mortgage plan. I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.